Good morning, I'm back again. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's video. So today's assignment, I want you to try that first, and then this is going to be the video that shows you how you should have got the answers. So these are the two questions that should be sitting on the Google Classroom today. And then the video here will be you getting some help with that and making sure that you got the answer right. Okay, so here's the assignment, and I'm going to take this away now for a minute because I am going to show you this on a big piece of paper. Okay, so I always redraw mine. It doesn't have to be pretty. We're not taking art here, we're taking math. So I always separate these things. I give them a letter, and usually I do this in color, but I can't roll over to my marker bin right now, so I call it A and B. So the first thing we're going to talk about is, like, do you remember where the overlap is? And we talked about that's where two things meet, right? Overlap. And then let's talk about what shape is the overlap. And in this case, the overlap is this 2 by 1 centimeter rectangle. And we need to think that the bottom of the rectangle A would not be spray painted or covered in cheetah fun fur, if that's what we were doing. But also, if we pulled this piece away, if we could possibly do that, there would be a spot left on rectangle B that also wasn't spray painted or covered. Okay, so really the overlap is two rectangles. Okay, so I start by eliminating the overlap, and I'm going to show you tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to do the same question again, but I just want this to sort of seep in. Some people will find the surface area of the whole thing, then they'll go back and they'll subtract the overlap, and that might be your strategy. That might be the thing that works for you, but I'm going to start and I'm going to show you mine, because remember, I had to work for every mark I got in math. Okay, so sometimes my strategies are going to be a little bit more helpful. So I'm going to start with piece A. Okay, and piece A, I've decided that I've got two overlaps that are in the shape of this rectangle 2 by 1, which is really my top and my bottom of rectangle A. So I'm going to do front, back. Okay, and the formula that I'm going to need to use is area is equal to length times width, because it is a rectangle, and so it's going to look like this. Area is equal to length times width times 2, because that represents two sides that are exactly the same, the front and the back. And that is going to look like 2 times 1 times 2, which is 4 units squared. And it should be centimeters squared. I'm sorry, because I actually gave you a unit there. And then I'm going to circle it. That's also my strategy, so that I don't forget that when I do total surface area, I have to remember to add that together. And now I'm going to do these sides here. And these sides are 1 by 1. So they're actually squares. And sometimes our drawings don't look very good, and that's just part of a glitch in the program. But they are. So I'm going to do the side and the side, and the formula for that is area is equal to side squared. And there's two of them, one on the left, one on the right. So now I'm going to write down 1 squared times 2. And 1 squared, remember, is 1, and 1 times 2 is 2. So I get 2 centimeters squared. Okay. And so now I'm going to move to the bottom piece. And we already took care of the overlap. I know there's overlap between these two pieces, but it has nothing to do now with this big shape, because we already eliminated it when we talked about getting the surface area of the big one. Okay, so I call this part B. And I put that down there, rectangle B. And so remembering that the formula to find the area of a rectangle is length times width. So now remember, this is a strategy that I talked about when we were still in school. I've got the top and the bottom, I've got the front and the back, and I've got the side and the side, because that's a characteristic of a rectangle, is that there are always two sides that are exactly the same. Okay, if they're not, then it's not really a rectangle. Area is equal to, okay, and if I'm doing the top and the bottom, so I'm talking about 5 by 3. That side's 3. I always trace it out because I see 2 right there, and I don't want to get that confused. That would be the height of this thing. Looking for the width right here. So 5 times 3 times 2. Where does that 2 come from? That's the sides. And I end up with 5 times 3 is 15, and 15 times 2 is 30 centimeters squared. And again, my coping strategy, I'm going to circle that. Now I'm going to move on, and I'm going to do the front and the back. And the front to the back is, again, same thing, rectangle. I'm going to use that same formula. The front here is 5 by, and here's where that 2 comes in. 5 times 2 times 2 sides, and I end up with 20 centimeters squared. And now I'm going to do the sides, side, side. And the sides in this case are not squares like they have been. This is like a realistic drawing. Okay, they're 3 by 2. So again, that's a rectangle. So 3 times 2 times 2, which is 12 centimeters squared. And now I want the total surface area, so I would add 4 and 2 and 30 and 20 and 12. And if you did that, you should come up with 68 centimeters squared, which is the correct answer and the total surface area of this composite object. Now, because this video is getting long, I'm going to stop here and I am going to, well, actually, you know what? Let's press on. Every once in a while you can listen to a long video. My voice is quite soothing, am I right? Okay, so here we go. Now we have 3, no big deal, okay? First thing we do is always identify that we have an overlap, which is 2 rectangles here, and then we have another overlap that exists right here, which is also 2 rectangles. So again, my coping strategy is I label these piece A, piece B, and piece C, and now I'm going to break them down and I'm going to do the math. Okay, I eliminate my overlap before I even get started. Again, tomorrow we'll talk about how we can do this a different way. All right, so the front and back, we're going to be using this formula because this is actually a rectangular prism. It's not a cube because it's 2 by 2 by 1. So I'm going to do the front and the back, and I'm going to go 2 times 1 times 2 sides, which is 4 centimeters squared. Circling it so I remember that I'm going to add that when I do my total. Okay, then I'm going to do my sides, and they are 2 times 1, and there are 2 of them, and I end up with another 4 centimeters squared. Oh, and I did a not very good job there. Okay, now I'm going to move on to piece B. Piece B is also made of rectangles, so that's the formula we're going to be using. We're going to take care of the overlap by eliminating the top and the bottom. So in this one, I'm just going to do my front and my back. And in this situation, my dimensions are 4 by 2 by 2 of them, and I get 16 centimeters squared. And now I'm going to do my sides, and my sides are 3 by 2, and there are 2 of them, and I end up with 12 centimeters squared. I gotta go back, I forgot to circle that one so I remember total surface area. Now part C, we're gonna do 3 pieces because we've already taken care of the overlap. So now I'm gonna have the top and the bottom. So I've got 6 by 4, and there are 2 of those, and I end up with 48 centimeters squared. And then I do front and back, which are 6 by 3, and there are 2 exact sides because it's a rectangular prism, and I get 36 centimeters squared. And now I'm going to do the sides, and the sides are 4 by 3, and there are 2 of them, and I end up with 24 centimeters squared when I work that out. And everything that I've circled is going to get added together to give me that total surface area, and you should come up with 144 centimeters squared. And that is the correct answer. And usually what I do is I put that one in a square box so I can tell the difference between all the things that I circled and what the correct answer is. Okay, so go back and check your work, and if you got that right, give yourself a big giant check mark and a pat on the back. And if you didn't, what I need you to do is I need you to break that down and take a look and see where you made your errors. All right, talk to you soon.